People deluded, I'm back again. Now it's international break. Oh wait, one sec. Yeah, like I was saying, people, it's the international break and them things there. And I thought, well, I didn't even think anything. I like you lot, I constantly look at Arsenal. If you don't support Arsenal, any other clubs, depth, and you humour yourself into what you would like to see in terms of personnel into the club, how you would move forward going through with the players that are already there, so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm a visual person. I like to write things down and assess them, what they look like visually, innit? And obviously my handwriting is not the best, and neither is the decoration, but obviously you can see we've got a 4-3-3 of sorts, and we've got players' names, and I'm trying to look for the areas we need to invest in. And I've already said, for me personally, I believe if I had the money, and we know Arsenal are working with constrictions and it won't be a thing like that, but I'd probably look at about 5 signings, to be honest with you people. Admittedly, I've just realised I've missed out Peter Cech, but yeah, I'll get onto the keeper. If I don't, I'll remind myself. But yeah, I've looked at the depth and put X's and whatnot next to players' names and them things there. So let's crack on. Now, he's not up there, so I might as well put this down. I might as well start with the keeper. Peter Cech. In terms of depth, we've got Peter Cech, we've got Leno, we've got Macy, who's on loan at Plymouth, and he's homegrown. That's a very important thing going forward because he can be registered as purely a homegrown player. We've obviously got Martinez, and we've got a couple other young keepers. But realistically, immediate first team, obviously I'd love a young keeper to come up now. But realistically, if we needed to count on players tomorrow, God forbid, if Leno and Cech both got injured, it's realistically Martinez and maybe even Macy that get a look in. I don't know if Emery necessarily rates him because he signed a new deal, but he has gone out on loan and then things there, and he's a new gaffer. So there's even a case to look at a backup keeper. Cech's doing okay. I mean, if he can go for another year and be number 2, because for me it looks like Leno's the number 1 without a doubt now, initial teething problems, but yeah, then fair play. But does Cech want to do that? I don't know. If Cech doesn't want to do that, we either got to look at what we're going to do with the keepers. Obviously, we can't sign a mad keeper. You can't have 2 good keepers. What I mean by good, you guys know what I mean by good keepers. Obviously, you need good keepers. But if you was to have De Gea and Courtois at the same club, for instance, it wouldn't work because you're either going to keep changing them game by game and alternating between the 2, which eventually one's going to be upset, or you're going to have to make one a number 2. So you can't really have 2 quality keepers. What I'm advocating for is if we can find a reliable backup that, no disrespect to Ospina, I know he's on load, and ironically he could come back, and I can't rule that out, but no erratic keepers, just a steady hands, a guy that just plays his position. He knows it's very unlikely he's going to play a major part in the season. It's sad, but ideally you don't want to see him on the pitch because it means your first choice keeper has a problem. So it looks like we need to do something in regards to the goalkeeping situation. Martinez probably needs to stay at the club because of the homegrown stuff as well, and he looks comfy in the position of being called up to matchday squad. So we've got the keeper out the way, people. We'll start off with an area of concern for me, and it will be the left-back position. Now, Monreal, he's getting on a bit. There's talk of him signing a new deal, and if he can go on for another year, fair play to him. But for the last couple of years now, I believe we've needed to look at a fullback on the left-hand channel, the left-sided fullback, the left-back. I don't know why I got tangled up on that, but yeah. Monreal's getting on a bit. Talk of him signing a new deal, so we need to look at one, in my opinion, and that's an area, if I was in charge, that I would be of high priority to me personally. Kohler, I mean, I like Kohler. I mean, initially, he came up, he was decent. I like Kohler. The thing is with Kohler now, I need reliability. I'm not a physio. I don't know for the guy's body, and I'm not trying to get to them things there. But his fitness, now stats might not back it up, and on the large part he's probably fit for the majority of the season, but for me he gets going, then he breaks down with a minor injury, with a this, a that, a hamstring, and these all add up in the season. And what goes over people's head, if you keep getting these injuries, you keep playing a couple of games, then you get an injury or you're out the squad or whatever, it's hard to get a rhythm, playing good and things like that. If you're not playing good, obviously you're not going to be in form and show the best you can. So because he's not fit, I don't think we've seen the best from Kohler. We've seen patches, and on that topic, I know the modern day fullback. I was a failed winger myself as a fullback, became a fullback. You need to be brilliant going forward, essentially. You need to be another winger of sorts, ironically, but you still got to defend first, and I don't think he's shocking defensively. I just feel he needs to improve several things. He needs to learn to sniff danger, which is concerning me saying that. And if he was to say Kohler's best games or games you've think Kohler's played well, or if you used to say Kohler's strengths, you're actually subconsciously, am I wrong, people? You must be looking towards the more attacking, offensive side of the game than the defensive side. I think he's good enough to possibly be our number one or number two. Number one, admittedly, I say number one because I don't like to be reactionary and things like that. I believe there's some qualities down to him to show it this year. But I must admit, the optimism levels are at an all-time low at that. For now, right now, he's second choice for me. But I leave that degree of being proved wrong. But I like him. But it's just, he's a good, he's strong. He means a tackle and he's a baller going forward. But defense first, isn't it? So there's that. The right back thing now. Now we've got Lichtsteiner, and he might Lichtstein. You lot always banter me for saying this guy's name wrong. Apologies. He's decent on the right hand channel. I mean, he's had games where I've been underwhelmed, but he's number two of sorts. If he proves that he's fit for another year, then cool, we might do the second choice thing. But possibly, it's God forbid, if a madness happens to Hector Bellerin, we're short at right back. Now, we've got, of course, in many positions, and I've tried to avoid it, people. We've got people in many positions that can be shoehorned. Maitland-Niles can do his thing at right back. Chambers is on loan, but for instance, he could play there. And we could shoehorn a couple centre-halves there if need be, or switch formations, as you can do with the 10 role, with the wide roles at Arsenal, and all of these things. But God forbid if something happens to Bellerin, then what are we saying, people? Because we're rather short there. Obviously, I've shown that you've got Vontae Daly-Campbell at the bottom, I believe. No, second from bottom. Extremely inexperienced, but I believe he's an underrated fullback with age. I believe he can have a good career, whether it's here or not. Who else we got? He's got a star because they're not immediate first team level. We've obviously got Osei Tutu, who's injured, but seems Unai Emery likes him of sorts. He's not been involved because he's been injured. And then you've got Carl Jenkinson. Realistically, he should be moved on in the summer, but at this moment in time, he's still at the club, so I'll include him. Oh yeah, I forgot to say at left back, we've obviously got Joao Lopez, who's highly rated within the club, but that's why it's got, well, it should have a star next to it because it's excitement from me. Obviously, you've got Saka, who looks like he could have a future on playing as an offensive winger, but he could equally have a future at playing at fullback because he's done both very well for England and Arsenal. Centre half is one of the trickiest, the techiest ones for me, people, because I feel there's a lot of players here, but there's not necessarily quality. Now, I've got Mavropanos on the right-hand side, I believe. Chambers is on loan, so there's a dot next to his name. Mavropanos is injured. Bielik's on loan, but he's there with the blue tick. Don't know why that's there. And you've got Ben Shafe and below Ben Shafe, you've got the other kids. So I've put a comment saying kids. But immediate first team level, we've got quite a few centre-halves like you can see. You can see Chambers, you can see... Chambers, sorry, I meant to say... Yeah, you can see Chambers, you can see Mustafi, you can see Koscielny, you can see Socrates, Rob Holding. Now, it's a techie one, people. I think Socrates, I mean, he's proved... I wouldn't say he's proved us wrong, but he's shown he's got some competence. He's been unlucky with injury. I think he's a good centre-half. He's been unlucky with injury, so we can call upon him. But it's down to him to prove to us that we can still say that in May. Mustafi's having an indifferent year. For me, this is his last year to kind of show me something because I like him, but if you're not going to do it now, you're never going to do it of sorts. Koscielny, probably winding down in his future. So yeah, there's a lot of... And then obviously you've got Rob Holding, which for me, we've got to play him going forward, and it's nice to see him playing football. So I actually think we need a centre-half. I think we need a centre-half, but realistically, surely people, some movement has to be done in terms of moving people on. Do we move Koscielny on and save some money in that department? Mustafi, do we try and get some money on that? Rob Holding looks like our centre-half going forward, of course. Socrates is good and doing his thing. Ideally, he'd be a third-choice centre-half, like I said. Chambers, he signed a new deal, but equally he could be sold to free up funds. Mavropanos, he's yet to really show his best because he's been injured and on the grand scheme of things hasn't had that many chances. So yeah, obviously for me, I think Christian Bielik's gonna depart the club in the summer. To be fair with you people, if he doesn't get a look in now, I don't think he'll ever will. I hope to be proved wrong. And I think Shafe, I like Shafe, and I think it's probably time for him to move on. But I'd love to be wrong about both of them. Next, you've obviously got midfield where it gets techie. You've got Aaron Ramsey, who's obviously going to depart, but he's here at this moment in time. You've got Ozil, who can play. They're not exactly midfielders, people, and obviously I could have played a 10, but let's use our brains, yeah? Whether it's a 10 or a defensive mid, there's someone is going to take, with the exception of Mkhitaryan who's out there, someone is going to take up one of these three positions regardless, innit, people? So with that, Ramsey, Ozil, Torreira, El Nene, Xhaka, Maitland-Niles and Guendouzi. So quite a few midfielders. I believe we need a midfielder. I would love to sign another midfielder. Ideally, a kind of hybrid like Torreira who can show something going forward, but who wants to break things down. Because I feel, imagine Torreira with someone else that's a like-minded individual, or just imagine that asset within the squad letting us close out games or just presenting different options. So yeah. Moving forward, the actual centre mids that for me, if I'm the manager, I'm 100 moving forward with, and they're gonna untouchable of sorts. Obviously not you playing every game, but I like you a lot. Not a funny man thing. We've obviously got Guendouzi without a doubt, Maitland-Niles, Ozil for me, Torreira. So yeah, El Nene, I'll use him in the squad, but realistically, he's probably last choice for me. He'd probably get the least game time, and he could probably be moved on to raise up funds. But equally, I wouldn't exactly force him out unless I'm trying to raise funds. Xhaka, I would listen to the right offer, but I actually like Xhaka. Maitland-Niles and Guendouzi, never ever. Torreira, I don't need to get into that. Ramsey's going to obviously leave to free up funds. Next, obviously on the flanks, we're dying on the flanks of options. Nelson is obviously there, but he's on loan. You've got Iwobi. You've got Mkhitaryan, and you've got other men that can be shoehorned in these positions. So we're dying out here for a winger. There's good couple young G's coming up, but we're dying for a winger at this club. Maybe even two. Got to be a bit smart because we've obviously got the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe who can play in the midfield. I think he'll have a future there, but again, can play out wide. Why I say that and I sound like a hypocrite, because you want to kind of keep spaces free. But yeah, you obviously got Wells, sadly injured, who can fill in there. Clearly need a winger. Up front is Techie. Wells, I love you. Hopefully you get fit, but realistically we shouldn't give you a new deal if we're trying to move forward seriously, despite the good form, as much as I like you. And if you do sign a new deal, it won't be the end of the world. You've got Aubameyang, Lacazette and Eddie. Eddie, is until he gets a chance, we don't get to see his level if he can do this thing here. I believe he can, but we don't get a chance. We've obviously got Aubameyang and Lacazette who are very good. So realistically, we've got three strikers going forward. I wouldn't say we need another striker, but I do think we need something off the bench, a plan B, people. Because I look at our bench, there's no winger that can stretch the game, there's no defensive mid that can shut out a game, and there's no different plan B if things aren't necessarily going our way. I always say to you lot, people, different personnels for different games can equal different things for us, man. We've got to have a squad of people with different components, in my opinion, that can all play their part within the 38 games in the Premier League, and obviously however much is in the Europa League and the rest of the cup fixtures. But that's me anyways. Obviously in part 2, I'm going to see if we can raise funds or who I would move forward with, and probably shock a lot of you lot. But for now, I'm out. People, deluded. Stay safe. Excuse me. As I was alluding to in part 1, I was just offering my general thoughts in regards to how we move forward in terms of with the personnel we've got, which ones I would play or I feel would necessarily be played or should play a part, and obviously areas of concern or areas we probably need to address or areas that we can improve upon within our squad moving forward. So yeah, in the name of raising funds or just getting people out to bring people in or whatever, I've humoured myself and offered my own thoughts. Now, football's unique, so some will agree, some won't. So yeah, I really love your opinions in this department to a degree. But yeah, let's crack on. Now, I hope you all can see perfectly. Excuse my poor handwriting all the time. On the right, well, I don't know where it come up on you lots, but on my left hand side, I've got the 5 positions or even more than that of areas I believe areas I believe we can improve upon, or areas I would love to sign and I feel are vital. So obviously, excuse my poor handwriting again, left back circled, vital. Believe it's vital to look at left back. I believe we're playing a dangerous game with Monreal, and Monreal's been in decent form, but he's getting on a bit, not to be ageist, of course. If he gets a serious injury, we're in issues. I like Kola, but right now he's a second choice at best for me. I like what he brings, but I need to see a bit more, and I don't really feel we've seen what this would be a second season now, or whatever, and we haven't really seen the best of Kola or anything near it, or we don't kind of know what we're getting. So I believe it's an area we need to look at. It's winger. We're dying. We are dying for a winger. Like, we're dying for a winger. There's people that we can play out there and people we can move in several positions, but we haven't got an out-and-out winger that hugs the touchline, or I don't necessarily feel they should constantly hug the touchline, because if you look at football now, you're more effective if you come inside. That can do the out-wing stuff or come inside to devastate an effect. We haven't really got one. We used to have one to a degree with Alexis of sorts, but we don't have that. We don't have a match winner, match decider, or someone that can provoke some bit of individual brilliance out wide, really and truly. We've got people that obviously have done it, and we've created goals from wide positions. Let's not be silly, but you get the point. Shoehorning people out there at best, like, really and truly. If we're honest, Iwobi, fair play, I'll concede it with Iwobi. I think he'd probably be better playing in a midfield, inside in a midfield 10 role or deep or so, which you saw when he was playing in the Ramsey sort of role in the 10. He can obviously play out there, and we'll give it to that. But past that, it's Nelson, really and truly, and he's not currently at the club for this campaign at this moment in time. So we have to discount him. Central midfield, I believe we need someone, whether it's someone that can play pretty passes, or I would like another sort of Torreira sort of person. Someone that can, they don't necessarily have to be, well, I would love someone that could break down playing and is combative like Torreira to shut out games and them things there. But as long as someone shows a willingness to defend and is competent in terms of positioning, that's cool. And if their strengths go forward, Ramsey's leaving. I think we need one even with Ramsey leaving, and it's a madness because in the previous part 1 there were so many midfielders. But I think that's an area. I've obviously got goalkeeper. I'll leave that one to Emre, in my opinion, people, because it depends what he sees from Cech and Martinez, and if Ospina's not made a permanent buy by Napoli, if it's not a legally binding, he has to sign for them sort of thing. I don't know. So there's that. Obviously, right back, I feel we could look at that area, but I'll concede it if we look at the other areas and people can be shoehorned there. Centre half, I would love a centre half, but on the basis of depth in the squad, if Emre believes that they're cool, then I'll allow him at this moment in time. So people will be departing. I sound like a hypocrite, but Ospina, in terms of importance, I've put a 10 next to him, 8 out of 10. That's how much I'll try and move him on. Jenkinson's a 10 out of 10. He needs to be moved on in all seriousness now. Koscielny, I think he needs to be moved on. I've put a 6 out of 10 in my opinion, because I think he needs to be moved on. I think it's a tricky one because his experience is vital to the squad. I feel he can play a part, but his performance level is pretty poor in my opinion. I've been really upset with Koscielny and I like him a lot. Really want to be proved wrong. It's with a heavy heart I'm saying this. I would love him to prove me wrong in every incident. But I think for wages, in terms of competency on the football pitch, I believe Koscielny's not someone we can move forward with. Mustafi, kind of the same logic. He's kind of let me down for the last 2 years. He's been in good form, but he's got until May. That's I've told you like in all my videos. I like him as a lot. I think there's a centre half in there, but again, it's been 2 or so years now. He's coming into his prime, and I kind of don't know what I'm getting. Would love to be proved wrong. Hope Mustafi proves me wrong, but he's got until May. Ramsey's a 10 out of 10 because he's departing. Special mention of Cohen Bramall, probably needs to be moved on. Bielik, I don't want him to be moved on, but if I was him, I'd probably be moved on if Emre is not going to use you. Getting off the age where you need to settle down and be used is in the squad versus going on loan. Wells is out of contract, so he's a 10 out of 10. I'll put Mkhitaryan in circles, people, because I like Mkhitaryan. I want him to stay. I want to keep him, but I can't lie. The current form he's on, the right offer, everyone's got a price in this life, people, and I would probably move him on for that as well, if the price was matching and things like that. But he's not someone I would be trying to push through the door. I think we can move forward with him, but he's on big wages and he's coming off the age where we need to see consistency. And if he's not, move him on and free up spaces and allocate wages and transfer kitty. Obviously, Cech, I've already alluded to that, could be moved on as well. So yeah, that's what I would be. These are the people I'd be looking at. Again, I'd want them all to prove me wrong, people, especially Koscielny in that department. But in terms of freeing up wages and transfer kitty and things, these are the people I'd be looking at. Of course, it's not as white and black as this, pardon the pun, but it is what it is, and if nothing more, I've provided some A1 content and humoured you guys. But on that basis, people, deluded, I'm out. Stay safe and comment and the rest of them things. I'm out.